Jay Slater and his friends were lucky that they didn't go into youth custody. You see, Jay and all of his friends could have been charged with Section 18 wounding. However, the judge took a more rehabilitative approach when sentencing them, and Jay was still under rehabilitation when he went to Tenerife. Now, if it wasn't for the intervention of a young lady who put herself on top of Tom Hilton's body, then Tom Hilton could have died. You see, Jay Slater and his friends actually thought that Tom Hilton was dead. That's why when they walked off after the incident, they said, "He's dead, boys." Now this was a very, very vicious attack where Tom Hilton was set up and hurt very badly. The full details of this incident are in the previous 3 videos. Now that we have a better idea about the incident and about Jay and his associates, let's start looking at Tom Hilton and see if he's the type of character, if he's capable of doing such a thing, like setting Jay Slater up and hurting him, and eventually leading Jay to his death. You see, when Jay Slater was missing, Tom Hilton hit out at the internet trolls and urged them to help find the teenager. Tom Hilton told TikTok trolls, "Have some respect and help find this boy and get him back to his family." Now for me, that message sounded very, very strange. For some reason, it just didn't fit with the narrative. You see, in 2021, Tom Hilton almost died from this attack. And yet, he sent out such a humble message to everybody. Now, is he the nice, humble guy that he wants us to believe? There's just something so fishy about his statement. You know, especially when you look back at what we've talked about in the previous 3 videos, about how vicious the attack was and the nature of the incident. So, is Tom Hilton capable of setting Jay Slater up, and does he have it in him to do such a thing? Who is Tom Hilton, and what do we know about him? Tom Hilton is a convicted criminal with 14 convictions for 28 offences. A record far from the humble guy that he wants us to believe. Let's have a look at his most recent case so we get an idea about his character. Hilton, who's now 19 years old, attempted to break into a house on Bold Venture Way in Clayton Lee Moors on the evening of February the 12th. Preston Crown Court heard that Tom Hilton, who was accompanied by 2 other people, first tried the handle of a car parked in the driveway, before then trying the handle of the front door of the property. He tried his best to get into the house. Fortunately, he wasn't successful at getting in, so him and his friends walked away. Now, little did Tom and his friends know that the occupant of the house, although he was asleep at the time, he was alerted by a notification sent to his phone from his CCTV monitoring system. Now, this notification woke him up, so he went through the CCTV and he managed to get a description of Tom Hilton, and he called the police. Now, instead of calling it a night and going home, Tom Hilton and his friends decided to carry on. Not long after leaving the first property, Hilton entered Spring Meadows, also in Clayton Lee Moors, not far from the first property. Tom tried his luck again, and he managed to open the front door of a house. Once inside, he saw some keys in the porch. The occupant's dog started barking. The owners of the dogs found this very strange, so they looked out of the window and they could see that their car had been taken. They checked their CCTV and it showed the car being driven away. The occupants then called the police and gave their number plate of the stolen vehicle. It was only until 10:40 p.m. the car was spotted driving at speed through Rishton, and it was followed by officers who turned their blue lights on and indicated for it to stop. However, instead of pulling over, Tom Hilton continued to speed away from officers in the car and reached speeds of more than 70 miles per hour in 30 miles per hour zones. Tom continued to speed and he went through Great Harwood, and then he cut a blind corner and just missed another driver at a roundabout. He was driving in a manner where he had no regard for other people's lives. He then continued onto Wally Road at excess speeds and went down a no-entry street driving the wrong way. He then went through a red traffic light and narrowly missed a pedestrian who was just crossing the road. He continued on to Accrington, and the police decided to abandon the chase due to concern for other members of the public. A different patrol car later found the car abandoned in the middle of the road. There was blood on the indicator and the handbrake, and one of the front tires was flat. At this point, the police knew that he must be somewhere near. As he had a flat tire, he had to stop. He had nowhere to go apart from running on foot. Police searched the area and they found Tom located in nearby woods, hiding in the undergrowth, and was found to have a nasty cut on his finger which required hospital treatment. When Tom was arrested, he seemed to find the whole episode amusing and was laughing and said to the police, "We smoked you. You get training on how to drive and you've just been smoked by an 18-year-old. Mr. Hilton was arrested and he made no admissions of his guilt. Unfortunately for Tom Hilton, that his blood was all over the vehicle that was in the chase, so there was no way for him to get out of this. Hilton eventually pleaded guilty to attempted burglary, theft of a motor vehicle, and dangerous driving. The court also heard that on committing these offences on February the 12th, Hilton was in breach of 2 community orders which had been imposed on him, one just 3 days earlier and one in November 2021, which was a 2-year order. Recorder Timothy Hannum, KC, said, "You have an awful record for someone of your age. You've had a great many chances to change your ways, but these offences are so serious that only a custodial sentence is appropriate." This was a prolonged period of bad driving, being chased by police. The speeds were terrifying, high in built-up areas. You were lucky the streets were relatively empty. Hilton of Cliff Street, Rishton, was jailed for 14 months, disqualified for driving for 25 months, and must sit an extended reset if he wants his driving license back. Mitigating for Hilton, who has 14 convictions and 28 offences, Neil Howard said his client had been struggling to deal with his father's terminal illness and was caring for other members of his family, and as a result had become anxious and depressed. Now personally, I don't think there's any excuse for that type of behaviour. If anything, Tom Hilton looks like an up-and-coming criminal, and he looks like he's got no intention of stopping to commit crime. Even after 14 convictions, he didn't learn his lesson, and that's how this incident still happened. Now Tom is obviously a very, very active criminal. Now I don't think that he would at all be scared of harming Jay Slater or trying to get Jay back, or even the other members of the gang back. Is it possible that Tom Hilton set up Jay Slater? Is he the reason why Jay Slater's no longer here? You see, he definitely had a motive for the attack because of what happened to him in August 2021. He seems like a fearsome guy, somebody who's not scared of anything. Now why would he want to forgive the gang so easily, for what they did to him just a couple years ago? Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. If Tom Hilton somehow did set up Jay Slater, well, how could he have done it? Well, the thing is, guys, Tom Hilton seems to be friends with one of the people that Jay went on holiday with. If not more than one of them. He may be friends with Brad and Lucy, not just Lucy. And looking at pictures online, Lucy just recently went on holiday with Tom Hilton and his friends. And now, just recently, she went on holiday with Jay Slater and his friends. You see, is it possible that they set something up together? We don't know if Tom carried out this attack himself or if he got somebody else to do it for him. Now it's possible that he did it himself. When we look at the man in the club, he's got a scar on the back of his head, a distinctive scar, exactly where somebody's skull could have been exposed. So is that Tom Hilton in the photo? And even if it isn't Tom Hilton in that photo. Who is this man? And why does he look so suspicious? And why does Jay look like he's seen a ghost when he sees him? Is he one of Tom Hilton's friends or associates? What's going on here? Talking about Tom Hilton's friends, do we have any evidence that any of his friends were on holiday at the same time as Jay Slater? Could he have got one of his friends to do this? Well guys, it's very much possible. When you look at these two photos side by side, the one on the left is the club that Jay went to, and when you look at the one on the right, which is Tom Hilton with his friend, you see the guy that's with Tom Hilton looks exactly like the guy on the left photo. He's also got a tash. He's got a very, very similar nose. Is it the same person? Was one of Tom Hilton's friends there at the same time in the same club as Jay? And if that is the case, if one of Tom Hilton's friends is there, or Tom Hilton and his friends, or some of his friends being there, is it possible that they set up Jay and they knew Jay was going to be there? How would they know Jay's going to be there? Well, through Lucy. We've already gathered that information, that Tom Hilton and Lucy are friends. Now this can also be confirmed through Facebook. If we go to Tom Hilton's profile, he's friends with Lucy Law. So if they're good friends, surely if Tom wanted to get Jay back, he could find out everything he needs to know through Lucy, because if they're friends, she probably talks about Jay. Now, is Lucy Law involved in all of this? You know, is she telling the truth in her interviews, or is she tripping up? Is she stumbling? For me, there's too many red flags with everything Lucy says. Her story doesn't seem to match up with anything at all. Is it possible she knew what was going to happen to Jay? Or was she tricked in some sort of way? Did they tell her that they just wanted to teach Jay a lesson, but then they went too far? Now, a lot of people think that this whole thing was to do with drugs, and maybe Jay's bag got stolen, or Jay gave his bag to somebody because he was scared. There's so many different theories on what could have happened, but even the drugs theory, could that be connected to Tom Hilton and Lucy Law? Is it all connected together? And is it possible that Ayub Kasim is connected to Tom Hilton? And is that the reason why he took him to his Airbnb? You see, Ayub Kasim is also a convicted drug dealer who spent almost a decade in prison. Now, is it possible that he was in prison with Tom or Tom Hilton's father? You see, there's a lot of information going around that Tom Hilton's father and Ayub Kasim were in prison together. Is it possible that the whole thing was planned? Now, some of you may be thinking, well, what about the other gang members? Well, there's also information out there that one of the other gang members was mysteriously hit by a car and has also died. Is it possible that this was a revenge attack, and this is why Jay Slater is no longer with us? You see, his friends are not telling us the truth. As Mark Williams said, the ex-police detective, that Jay was scared when he left that Airbnb. Now, if Jay really was at the Airbnb, which we don't know for sure because we haven't seen any CCTV of him, and his Snapchat picture doesn't show his face. But if Jay was at the Airbnb, and if he was scared, and if he did leave early, and if he really couldn't go back to charge his phone and to get a glass of water, is it because he realized that something wasn't right when he got there? Did he realize that Ayub Kasim was connected to Tom Hilton in some sort of way? If Jay was scared and that's why he left that place, is it because he sensed something wasn't right? Did he leave early because he knew that something was going to happen to him? Is that why he went in the wrong direction in case they go after him? Now, did they somehow catch up with him? And if they did they murder him?